Om Vishnupad Brahmansa Parivrajikacharya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivrajikacharya Ashtottara Sata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Guru Parampara Ki Jai. Sad Goswami Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Sampeta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. TOVP Ki Jai. Gauda Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Sri Mati Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Namaste Devi Guru Bhavani Charane Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasim Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nasta Praeshu Habadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama-shloki Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 14, texts 32 and 33, but we're just going to recite verse 32. Tataiva nuchara shore shutadevo davadaya sunanda nanda sirshnaya ye Chanye Satvatar Shabha Tataivanuchara Shore Shutadevo Davadaya Sunandananda Sirshnaya. I'm sorry. Sunandananda Sirshanya Ye Chanye Satvatar Shabha Tataiva nuchara shore Shutadevo dbhavadaya Sunandananda sirshnanya Ye chanye satvatar shabha Tataiva nuchara shore Shutadevo dbhavadaya Sunandananda Sirshanya Ye Chanye Satvatar Shabha Tataivanuchara Shode Shutadevo Dbhavadaya Sunandananda Sirshanya Tataiva nuchara shore Shrutadevodbhavadaya Sunandananda Sirshanya Yechanye Sattvatar Tataivanucharashore Shrutadevodbhavadaya Anandananda Sirshanya Yechanye Sattvatar Tataivanucharashore Shrutadevodbhavadaya Sunandananda Sirshanya Yechanye Sattvatar Tataivanucharashore Shrutadevodbhavadaya Sunandananda Sirshanya Yechanye Sattvatar Tataivanucharashore Shrutadevodbhavadaya Sunandananda Sirshanya Yechanye Sattvatar Mataji's Tataivanucharashore Sunandananda Sirshanya Yechanye Sattvatar Apiswastya sate sarve Ramakrishna bhujashraya Api smaranti kushalam Asmakam badha sohrada. Please repeat each word. Tata eva. Similarly, anuchara, constant companions. Shore, of Lord Krishna, of Lord Sri Krishna, such as Shrutadeva, Shrutadev, Uddhava Adaya, Uddhava and others, Sunanda, Sunanda, Nanda, Nanda, Sirshanya, other leaders, yea, all of them, cha, and, anye, others, sattvata, liberated souls, rishabha, the best men, api, if, swasti, doing well, asate, are, sarve, all of them, Rama, Balaram, Krishna, Lord Krishna, Bhuja Ashraya, under the protection of, api, if also, smaranti, do remember, kushalam, welfare, asmakam, about ourselves, badha sohrada, bound by eternal friendship. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Also, Shrutadev, Uddhava, and others, Nanda, Sunanda, and other leaders of liberated souls who are constant companions of the Lord, are protected by Lord Balaram and Krishna. Are they all doing well in their respective functions? Do they, who are all eternally bound in friendship with us, remember our welfare? Purport. The constant companions of Lord Krishna, such as Uddhava, are all liberated souls, and they descended along with Lord Krishna to this material world to fulfill the mission of the Lord. The Pandavas are also liberated souls who descended along with Lord Krishna to serve him in his transcendental pastimes on this earth. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 4:8, the Lord and his eternal associates, who are also liberated souls like the Lord, come down on this earth at certain intervals. The Lord remembers them all, but his associates, although liberated souls, forget due to their being tatastha Shakti or marginal potency of the Lord. That is the difference between the Vishnu Tattva and the Jiva Tattva. The Jiva Tattvas are infinitesimal potential particles of the Lord, and therefore they require the protection of the Lord at all times. And to the eternal servitors of the Lord is pleased to give all protection at all times. The liberated souls never therefore think themselves as free as the Lord or as powerful as the Lord, but they always seek the protection of the Lord in all circumstances, both in the material world and in the spiritual world. This dependence of the liberated soul is constitutional, for the liberated souls are like sparks of a fire that are able to exhibit the glow of fire along with the fire, and not independently. Independently, the glow of the sparks is extinguished, although the quality of fire or the glowing is there. Thus, those who give up the protection of the Lord and become so-called lords themselves, out of spiritual ignorance, come back again to this material world, even after prolonged tapasya of the severest type. That is the verdict of all Vedic literature. Tataiva nucharashore shrutadevo dbhavadaya sunandananda sirshanya ye chanye sattvatar shabha api swastya sate sarve Rama Krishna bhujashraya api smaranti kushalam asmakam badha sohrada. Also, Shrutadev, Uddhava, and others, Nanda, Sunanda, and other liberated souls who are constant companions of the Lord, are protected by Lord Balaram and Krishna. Are they all doing well in their respective functions? Do they who are eternally bound in friendship with us remember our welfare? Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarne Om Agyana Timbarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukam Kavati Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, thank you for picking a verse with the name of Sunanda in it. Very unusual, but Nanda and Sunanda are eternally liberated souls. They are in Vaikuntha. They are the airplane drivers, the Vimana drivers of Lord Vishnu. And so they're his constant and eternal associates, and they appear with him in the material world. So Srila Prabhupada gave me that name. But actually it has other meanings too, but I won't get into that here. So this is a verse. This is being spoken by Yudhishthira Maharaj, and if you recall the history going back to this chapter is called The Disappearance of Lord Krishna, very emotional chapter in the Srimad Bhagavatam, because Krishna has left, Arjuna has returned to Hastinapur and is reporting not only the disappearance of the Lord, but the disappearance of the entire Yadu dynasty. And Yudhishthira Maharaj is already contemplating that this is the situation, but he's trying to stay in a positive mood, and maybe he's just projecting his feelings onto Arjuna, but it's actually the truth. But he senses that something is very wrong. There are all kinds of inauspicious things going on in his kingdom, and he feels extremely full of anxiety. So, but this is good anxiety. In the service of the Lord, sometimes spiritualists think that becoming conscious or self-realization, elevating your conscious means no more anxiety, no more feelings, no more emotions. Everything is just fine and blissful and happy. But in devotional life, Vaishnavas, we actually are full of emotions. And we want to develop all these emotions, but they have to be in connection with Krishna. Emotions in connection with Krishna are right and proper emotions, and they get deeper and deeper and deeper as our love for Krishna develops. So this is one of our goals, is to intensify our emotions. If we don't feel that we're intensifying our consciousness, our love for Krishna at every day, every moment, increasing more and more, we have to kind of look at ourselves and analyze, am I making progress? Because the entire goal of our Krishna consciousness practice, of course, we're trying to fulfill Srila Prabhupada's desires in so many ways, and distributing his books, opening temples and the TOVP and all kinds of projects which are important to spread this knowledge to others. But Prabhupada also wanted us to read his books, to advance in spiritual life. There's a nice story, Sura will remember, and Sravas and all of the God brothers here will remember. Prabhupada on a morning walk, and a book distributor asked Srila Prabhupada, "Prabhupada, what pleases you the most?" And Prabhupada answered in a way that nobody thought he would. He said, "My desire, that what will please me the most is if you all become lovers of God. Learn to love Krishna. Because if we learn to love Krishna, then everything else also manifests. If we try to do things independently of Krishna, based on our own strength, our own energy, our own intelligence, which have to be engaged in the service of the Lord, no doubt, but if we think that it's due to me that something is happening, that I'm the doer, then that will lead to misunderstandings and lack of proper Krishna consciousness. Here we're reading in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining the nature of the liberated souls, the eternally liberated souls, the sattvatas. What is their consciousness? We have to develop that consciousness of these sattvatas. That's our goal in the Krishna consciousness movement. So what is that consciousness? Prabhupada describes here so nicely that all the liberated souls, the jiva tattvas, are infinitesimal potential particles of the Lord, and therefore they require the protection of the Lord at all times. And to the eternal servitors of the Lord is pleased to give all protection at all times. The liberated souls never therefore think themselves as free as the Lord or as powerful as the Lord, but they always seek the protection of the Lord in all circumstances, both in the material world and in the spiritual world. Just like when Krishna was playing with the cowherd boys, and all of a sudden there was a big forest fire. All the cowherd boys, Krishna, Krishna, they're just crying to Krishna. When Kaliya, Krishna's in the Yamuna, and Kaliya binds Krishna in his serpent-like coils, and all the inhabitants of Vrindavan are standing on the shore, and they're thinking, oh, what's going to happen to Krishna? When the cowherd boys go into the mouth of Aghasura and the demigods are thinking, alas, alas. So this is the consciousness of the devotees. Oh, and the cowherd boys were thinking, oh, we're not worried about Aghasura. We've got Krishna behind us here. They're always thinking, Krishna is my protector. Krishna is my life and soul. So this is our endeavor, and in our chanting, in our morning programs, everything is to purify our consciousness so that we can surrender and become protected by Krishna. That's really the bottom line of the Krishna consciousness movement, to become a devotee, a pure Vaishnava devotee of the Lord. Then we can do everything else. Then we can do everything else. Then when we go out and distribute books, we're going to see everyone is part and parcel of Krishna. Everyone is a part and parcel of the Lord who's fallen into the material world. Like Prabhupada says here, he's the Tatastha Shakti Jiva who has forgotten the Lord. And I have to give him this book in order to awaken his consciousness again so that he can go back to Godhead also, get the opportunity to go back to Godhead. That's the whole purpose of distributing the books. And if you're in Krishna consciousness, that will be your consciousness. Of course, we're thinking to please Prabhupada, want to distribute lots of books. The numbers are good too. That means more conditioned souls. Prabhupada was so happy to get the BBT newsletter once a week, once a month. He would get the report. It would be read to him, and he would say, this is my life and soul. To read these reports about book distribution. So, that is our endeavor is twofold in that sense. We have to ourselves become Krishna conscious, and then we also have to distribute Krishna consciousness on the order of the Lord and the order of Srila Prabhupada. So those two things are our mission in life, to purify ourselves and to purify others. But in fact, by going out and purifying others, we are also purifying ourselves. By preaching, that's also purifying to ourselves. That's pleasing to the Lord. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, one who preaches this message, especially to the devotees, but in general, one who preaches and tries to help other conditioned souls awaken their consciousness, he's most dear to me. That pleases Krishna. And it pleases Srila Prabhupada. Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasado, yasya prasadam nagati katopi. By the pleasure of the pure devotee, we will advance. We get the mercy of Krishna. So our goal is to become Krishna conscious, to come under the full protection of Krishna, full surrender. You know, there are 6 different aspects of surrender. To accept everything favorable to devotional service. One who achieves this consciousness of full surrender to Krishna, the first symptom is to accept everything that's favorable to devotional service. Whatever I need to do to serve Krishna, whatever I need to follow, whatever I've been told to do by the order of my spiritual, whatever is favorable to Krishna's service and to my advancement, that I accept. That's my bread and butter, my prasadam. And on the opposite side of the coin is to reject everything that's not favorable to devotional service. That's a tough one. We have to analyze our individual circumstances. We have to analyze so many different things. What's not favorable for my devotional service? Am I associating with the right people? Am I in the right place? Am I doing something wrong? There's a lot of considerations in that particular aspect, to reject what's unfavorable. It's easy to accept what's favorable, much more easy in some ways, but to reject what's unfavorable is more difficult. Then to accept the Lord as one's sustainer, one's maintainer, one's provider, that Krishna is going to give me everything. I don't need to endeavor so hard for material things or over-endeavor, which is a cause of fall down, but Krishna will provide for me. And devotees find this is true. Materialists are always after gaining more and increasing their wealth, increasing their assets, building houses for $30 million and so many things like that. Just wasting their time. They have no idea of the purpose of life, no idea of what the goal of life is or who they are. But devotees can simply, we can live in the temple or near the temple, work up whatever we need to provide for ourselves, for our family, take prasadam, go to the temple, morning program, chant 16 rounds, distribute some books, do some service, take prasadam. Very simple. We can just depend on Krishna and not have to worry about too many things outside. Go more inside our hearts, inside our soul, and give it more and more to Krishna. Then the fourth is to accept the Lord as one's protector. The Lord will always protect me under all circumstances. That's sometimes a little hard. We get in situations that are difficult and we get nervous or in anxiety. But for a pure devotee, for somebody who's surrendered to Krishna, then the Lord will protect me. But there's a caveat actually to that. There's a story that Prabhupada, I remember hearing. That doesn't mean that we are foolish. The first-class devotee, he depends completely on the Lord. But there's another class of devotee. He's not full. It's not that you're going to put yourself in a cage with a tiger or with a serpent. But a devotee who's on that platform, he's thinking that I need to maintain my body, I need to maintain myself so I can continue in the service of my spiritual master. And if I'm in a situation which is dangerous, I might want to use my intelligence and just get away from there. So that's also another aspect of that. Krishna will protect me, but we don't want to put Krishna in our service either. We don't want to make Krishna bound to protect us. We're Krishna's servants. However, a pure devotee who's on the higher platform, he's simply engaged in service and the Lord protects him. The next is to think that one is the most fallen, very fallen, humble, insignificant. So this state of mind, humility, tarnadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnana manina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. One should chant the holy names of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking himself lower than the straw in the street. One should be humbler than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others without expecting any respect in return. So that kind of humility of feeling oneself insignificant and completely dependent and protected by the Lord, that's the fifth aspect of surrender. And the final is to give one's entire being to the Lord, one's mind, one's body, one's words, one's soul, under the protection of Krishna. Full surrender. That nothing is mine. This body is not mine. Even I am not mine. Everything belongs to Krishna. This kind of consciousness of surrender, that everything belongs to the Lord. I am His property. I am surrendered to Him. Whatever I am asked to do in His service, that is my pleasure. These are the 6 divisions of surrender. as taught by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So the more we come to that state of mind, that state of consciousness, this is our goal, personally, internally, within our own personal lives. Each individually, we have to go inside, become introspective. We have to remove the anarthas. We have to get through this most difficult phase of anartha nivritti. Yeah, this can last a long time. Anartha nivritti. There's so many anarthas there. All these unwanted things, unwanted desires, unwanted longings, profit, distinction, adoration. They haunt us. The mind is always jibber-jabbering in our head. All kinds of things. Just useless things that the mind comes up with. But gradually, by chanting, actually the most powerful way of removing the anarthas is by chanting. The most important process. And that cleanses away the anarthas so that we can come to the other stages of devotional service. And then our emotions will become pure. Like Yudhishthira Maharaj, he's thinking of all these great associates of the Lord who are his friends, who he has associated with over the course of so many years. Great emotions towards the associates of the Lord. And we amongst ourselves also, God brothers, God sisters, we need to have these nice kind of emotions and feelings. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Gopi Bhartur Padakamalayur Das Das Anudas, being the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. And within this community of devotees, we'll feel satisfied with those emotions. We'll be satisfied associating with devotees, sadhu sangha, God brothers, God sisters, advanced devotees. We know there are 3 different classes of devotees, Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttama. So accordingly, we associate with different types of devotees to either benefit them or to become benefited ourselves. So all of these things are there. We have a culture. Prabhupada created an international society for Krishna consciousness, which is a culture, a society, so many activities going on, so many things to do. It's like a family. It's an international family. We're all part of that. Very important to feel that, to experience that. Otherwise, we may be attracted back to the family in the material world and be distracted from our spiritual lives. So I'm going to end here. Prabhus, thank you very much. If you have any questions, I have to leave shortly and have a meeting with Sravas. So if you have any questions, I'll try to answer. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu?
So you gave that one quote where someone asked Prabhupada what would please him the most, and he said, "If you love Krishna." And then you also said, "But if we go out and we give Krishna to others, it's the best means to purify ourselves." So I was just wondering how one should find a balance, because there's so many great souls in our movement. Like I was thinking when you said that, like Shiva Ram Swami Maharaj, for example, he's very learned. He's read. Actually, one time when I was in Vrindavan, I went to that one bookstore, Ras Bihari, and the owner said Shiva Ram Swami read all the books in there, and he goes in there sometimes and he asks if there's any new books that he hasn't read, but he's read all of them. So the reason why I bring that up is because it seems like a person like that took a lot of time out and just personally studied and made a lot of personal introspection. So it seems like if we're fully engaged in preaching, one may not have time to do that. But on the other hand, that one verse in the Bhagavatam, that if one engages in devotional service, automatically knowledge and detachment arise within the heart. So,
Well, yes, yes and no. You know, some of these questions can be yes and no answers, but reading Prabhupada's books, studying Prabhupada's books, and the books of our acharyas, that also is devotional service. That also is self-purification. And what many devotees may not think about, I mean, sure we all know, but Prabhupada spent many years in intense bhajan, not necessarily not writing or preaching, but he very intense devotional service and prayer and contemplation and thought when he was living at the Radha Damodar temple. Many years he spent that way before actually preaching. He would write, but he didn't go out, you know, he would go out, distribute his books, but he's very intense devotional service. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati also, before attempting to start his mission, I remember the amount of time he spent a good number of years chanting how many rounds a day, or how many names of the Lord a day? 1 billion, yes, right. He spent so much time in and not, you know, eating, and just total engagement in what are the practices, the Vaidhi practices of devotional service. But when he was through, or when he reached a certain stage, then it was time to preach. Not that he necessarily needed to be purified, but as an example to us, he did that. He's an eternal associate of the Lord. Prabhupada is also an eternal associate of the Lord. But they do these things to teach us also. I'll give you another example. There's one god brother of ours who was the president of the Chicago temple, and Prabhupada came, and Prabhupada didn't ask him, how many books are you distributing? He asked him, are you all reading my books, studying my books? And this devotee said, yes, Prabhupada, we have so many classes in Ishopanishad and Nectar of Devotion and teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and Prabhupada was very pleased. So yes, we have to have, that balance has to be there, because again, I mean, yes, going out and distributing books or Harinam is self-purifying. That is part of the process of purification, undoubtedly. But we have to be anchored in that sambandha gyan, that the knowledge of the principles of devotional service, in order to keep going out also. Yes, Archie?
Thank you, Sunanda Prabhu, for taking this invitation to speak on short notice. Thank you for the wonderful class. Regarding Ananda Kirtan Prabhu's question, it's not up to the individual to decide. This is why we have spiritual masters. We have a spiritual master precisely to give us that balance, because the answer may vary from person to person, and even to the same person at different times. I'll give you an example. One of our godbrothers approached Prabhupada and said, I used to be a musician and I would like to glorify Krishna by using my musical talent and, you know, writing songs about Krishna, singing. Prabhupada said, yes, you have my blessing, do it. And then when some other devotee heard, and he had also been a musician, so he approached Prabhupada and asked the same question, and Prabhupada said no. So the spiritual master may not give the same answer to everybody. For one person, he may say, you just stay out in the van and distribute for the next 5 years and read as much as you can, but I want you out on the road. And somebody else, he may say immediately, stay back in the temple. And it varies. So that's why you have a spiritual master.
Yeah.
And if you don't have faith in the spiritual master's answer, then that person is not really your spiritual master. If you've accepted that person as your spiritual master, then you'll have faith in the answer, and this is the right answer for me, this is what Krishna wants me to do, and you'll do it.
Yeah. So that's why sometimes it's yes-no answers sometimes, because Prabhupada said different things at different times to different people. Yes, Maharaj. Yes, thank you.
Thank you for a very wonderful class. In
Thank you,
regard to
Maharaj.
that question, uh, I'm in agreement with what you were saying that, and what Srila Prabhupada said, that our focus has to be on developing love of God. That should be our purpose. That should be our focus. And if it is our focus, then when we do our different devotional service, such as whether it's book distribution or addressing the deities or whatever it is, we will have the proper motive. We will have the proper idea, rather than thinking that, yes, I'm a great dresser, deity dresser. I'm a great distributor of books. This pride comes in, it seeks. But if we always have in mind that my business is really to love Krishna, which means to surrender to Krishna, to serve Krishna, to be completely submissive to Krishna, and Krishna is the all in all, when I have that idea, then the other pride does not get a chance to seep in.
All right, thank you. Anyone else like to ask? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Amalam Puranam ki jai.